Hey everyone, it's me Shimon and welcome to episode 14 of yet another tech podcast. This week I'm joined by Jules Wang from Android Police. We'll be discussing about the following topics. Dual SIM smartphones having different configurations like having physical SIM plus eSIM. We'll also be talking about mobile network providers, cloud gaming, Google Stadia, Shadow and much more. So what are you waiting for? Hop along the ride. It's going to be amazing.
So, this is yet another tech podcast
Yes.
in which we talk about meteorology and climate.
Okay, so for those who don't know about you, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Jules Wang, at Point Jules on Twitter. I've been writing on the mobile industry for about 5 years now. Used to be at Pocket Now for the past 4 plus, and I'm now at Android Police. Very new there, still getting used to things, and I'm just happy that you invited me on, man.
Sweet. Okay, so let's talk about your daily drive right now. Although I know about it, why don't you tell which device you're using right now?
I have 2 of them. I switch between them very often. So I have the Pixel 2. And I'm showing this to the camera. Do left. Hi. You're probably wondering why I'm staring at you so intently right now. It's because you're editing this and you're going to put it on YouTube, and I'm just going to stare into your eyes. Anyways. And so Pixel 2 with a live case of a photo I took of a experimental artsy sign. It's like a multi-layered pane thing. I don't know what it is. And then you have the LG V40 ThinQ, which I do not enjoy using.
For what reason though? What exact reason?
So the thing is that this is my home number. I call it my home number, and this is my Project Fi. So Sprint, Project Fi. Sprint, not really the best network to be using. But I do it anyways because it's cheap. Although I did take them up on their, the $95 plan for 50 gigabytes of unlimited speed mobile hotspot. And that's pretty much it.
Unlimited speed? What does that mean? There has to be a catch.
When it means you're on Sprint, everything's the catch.
So what is the speed threshold? Like something which you can achieve?
It's it's really spotty, but it's more, it's more mediocre, and like the good places that stand out, they really stand out to you. And if that's the case, whereas you're used to just crappy service all along, I mean, in most places, I can suffice with like 10 to 15, 25 even sometimes, on both the down and up. And then, places where you wouldn't really expect it, like LaGuardia Airport in New York, where I sit down and do my work, and all of a sudden I see, oh, hey, 90, 100.
Wow.
Okay, sure, why not? And I think Sprint judiciously picks its fights, for a lack of a better term, when it comes to upgrading their cells and towers and making sure that these ones are the best that you can get. So, I don't know.
And how much are you paying for the Sprint plan, approximately?
I think I'm paying $90 on the base service. I'm still paying the freaking $40 a month for the device, and I'm only into month 5, so I have like 18 months left on that, which is not really a pleasant thought. And it's chipped. Like I dropped it early on. No, all right. I lost the unit. I lost it early on, and thank goodness I had protection. I bought into like the $20 per month plan, which it really shouldn't be $20 per month, but okay. And I lost it in the most stupid way. Like, it fell out of my pants pocket, and while I was on the subway, and I didn't realize until my Bluetooth connection from my earbuds cut out.
Nice.
So lost that. Had to pay a $275 deductible
Oh.
to get a new unit, and since then, like this has taken a few falls, and I'm going to try and clear away as many of these notifications as possible because I want you to see the screen, but not necessarily the stuff I have on it. I don't know how much you can tell, but it's you can probably see in the corners here that there's a hairline crack, which I'm fine with for the most part, but then there's chipping. Like a piece of glass actually flew out from one of the corners. So
Oh God.
what would have been a $29 screen replacement is now another $275 in deductibles because you have to replace the whole unit when it comes to.
Dude, I don't like this carrier stuff in US. This whole convoluted
I don't
scheme.
like it. It sucks. I admit it. I've been like the time that I came back from Barcelona. I had a stopover in London Gatwick, and I bought a EU plan. Since they're still part of the EU still. I don't know when this is going to be released, but at the MWC time and at this current time, they're still part of the EU, and therefore their carriers have to supply data throughout the EU. It's the same rate, and I was able to purchase 36 gigabytes to use in a month for, how much was it? I think it was $50 US, which is great. I could have paid a couple more dollars for unlimited, but even I found it, I'm still I pretty much bought too much. I found it very hard to use it all. So, yeah, it's been very fun using that, and I wish it would be a much better situation in the US.
Okay, here's something interesting. So I'm paying exactly $5 per month. Sorry, I'm paying for 3 months. $5 for 3 months, which gives me 1.5 GB of 4G data every day and unlimited calls, unlimited SMSs. How cool is that?
$5 for 3 months. That's pretty cool. I think I might blow through a gigabyte and a half, on any one day, just because of the work I do and whatever I need to do out there.
But then it's unlimited. Once you deplete your 1.5 GB of data, you also have unlimited data, but then the speed is capped at 1 Mbps.
1 megabit per second.
Yeah, correct.
That's much, much better than 128 kilos or 256 kilos.
That's bad.
That's the limit that all the U.S. carriers set over here.
Jeez.
When it comes to 2G. Or I think in some cases, like if you roam or something like one of the limits for one of the carriers is something like 64
GPRS.
Yeah. But even then, or they don't. But it's not even. Yeah, it would have to be through GPRS. Yeah.
Damn. It's bad.
It's pretty bad. I do enjoy using Project Fi on my Pixel 2 just because it's just simple, and the network is a little bit more robust. Primarily, it's on T-Mobile. So, even though it has the Sprint US Cellular names on it, it's using T-Mobile's network. That's pretty much it. And because that's where the best signals are, best speeds and whatnot. And it's it works a charm, and it works all over the place. It works overseas. The one reason why I had to get a European SIM is because I forgot this at home. I left this, I dropped this somewhere, and I couldn't figure out where it was. Turns out it was under my bed.
Wow.
So
wait a second. How did it reach under the bed? How?
I left it charging, and so I actually still live with my family. This is a shared bedroom. I sleep over on this side, and my brother sleeps on this side, and I had everything charging on my side because I was in the rush to get everything prepared for Barcelona, and there was this one open port that my brother let me use, and so I charged my Pixel with it, and I thought, but like I was so much in a rush that I thought I had put my Pixel in my backpack. Turns out I didn't. It was still charging over there, and in fact had dropped off the charger at some point,
Oof.
and spent some time under his bed until I found it again.
Hey, on the plus side, at least you found it. So that's great.
On the plus side, I did. On the minus side, I'm kind of sad that I didn't get to use Fi over there and not have to worry about stuff.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Project Fi is based on eSIM?
It does have an eSIM component to it, and that's mostly Pixel side. I do have a physical SIM still.
Okay.
You can request it for your phone, but if you're using a Pixel, then you can use eSIM.
Okay, so recently I reached out to someone in the Pixel team recently, talking about dual SIM capability on Pixel 3, just like iPhone 10 and 10s, where you can have one physical SIM and one eSIM. So technically a dual SIM experience.
Yeah,
So
they've been talking about that on Android Q recently. XDA doing
apparently it
something.
works in Android Pie as well.
Really?
Yeah, but I couldn't test it because I had to return my Pixel 3. So now I'm like, I don't have Pixel 3 anymore.
Wah, wah.
Yeah. So, is it possible in US? Like, I know you folks don't use dual SIM devices per se. You don't even have dual SIM
Yeah.
devices, I guess.
Yeah, it's not really much of a thing. If you buy a Sony phone around here, which is an unlocked phone, and they do make them available in the U.S., they do have dual SIM slots. I forget. I haven't touched an iPhone in a long time around here, so I think the U.S. iPhones are still. Like they have a SKU that only does one physical SIM slot for those.
Yeah, same in India. But the fact that you can
Yeah.
have one physical SIM and one eSIM. So
Yeah,
that's
and the one physical SIM. Yeah, that's kind of the hot thing, and I mean, so much utility of that.
Mhm.
You don't have to take as much space inside the device, so that you can pack in whatever other feature that you consider very useful and what consumers consider useless into the device, and you get two phone numbers in one, so that you don't have to worry about having to juggle around several devices to manage your phone numbers.
That's what I do. Like I use one SIM for calling specifically and the other one for mobile data. That's all.
I forget sometimes which phone numbers I have for which accounts I have to put down my phone number on. So that really sucks sometimes when I don't want to carry both of these phones around.
Same here. I don't want to carry
all
two
the time.
phones. I just want to carry one phone.
I'm not a captain or anything. I'm just I'm just a private.
Only Michael
So-
can pull that off.
Yeah. Between that and his LD West holsters, which I hope he's still wearing, for God's sakes, pick up the phone, man. I'm trying to get lunch with you, and you keep denying me because you're so busy going to Paris to get that freaking Huawei P30. What's wrong with you, man? You don't need that Huawei P30. You need to get some fried chicken or something.
Ooh,
I have a
fried
place.
chicken.
Let's go.
I need some fried chicken as well. Although I just had dinner, but still,
Yeah.
always up for fried chicken.
We all need fried chicken, man.
Yeah.
Be it from Korea or Japan or Taiwan or from the good old South.
I forgot which particular fried chicken Hayato showed me, but I think it was from somewhere. Sorry, I can't recollect now, but that looked really, really nice.
What was it from Indiana?
Most probably, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
That looked nice, at least.
I still need to visit them at their new house. It's long overdue.
His room looked
Yeah.
nice. Although a bit
Mhm.
echoey, but yeah, it looked nice.
Hey, I mean, you can get some soundproofing and that can be fixed.
Yeah, he was talking about like, hey, what should I put in my room, like a bean. I suggested him bean bag, and he's like, nope, no bean bags in
No.
my office. Okay.
Well, then put the bean bags on the walls so that they can dampen the sound, and therefore you can play your guitar in peace.
That's the perfect
How about
solution.
that?
That's the perfect solution.
Yeah.
So you just brought up Huawei P30, so might as well just talk about it.
Oh man, do I have to talk about it?
Yes, yes, you have to. So, just a quick impression. What do you think about the Pro version? Let's not talk about the normal one. What do you think about the Pro?
I much prefer the 3x zoom to the 5x zoom. Man, don't you know? It's the hip number 3 times. You don't need 10 or 50 or a mega gazillion.
Yeah.
You just need 3, and that's it. How much are you supposed to pay for it? Like the isn't the P30 just like the regular one starting at 1,200 euros? I'm just spouting things. There was one of them that started at 1,200, and I hope it's the P30 Pro because that would make some sort of sense. But that's love.
Let me check. P30 starts at 800 euros.
Okay.
P30 Pro starts at 1,000 euros.
Oh, 1,000 euros. Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, correct.
In this day and age.
Yes.
I wish it were another day and age, but we're in this day and age.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the 4 cameras on the back? It's pretty interesting. Pixel has 1 camera. iPhone has 2 cameras. LG has 3 cameras.
Huawei and Leica have proven their clout and their kind of utility in terms of what they can do with all of those cameras and what processing they can apply to all those cameras, so that the glass has to be great, the sensor has to be tuned correctly, and it just so happens that a lot of people like the processing that they've done. It's more in terms of noise, as far as I'm concerned. I do like luminance noise better than ratchety color noise banding BS.
True.
That kind of thing. So in terms of that, lots of aesthetics are going in to make the right product, at least for stills. I mean, you would hope that their video game comes out much better this generation.
I saw some samples. The video looks really nice, especially the stabilization part. Yeah.
Can they keep up with the frame rate? Because that has always been the problem.
Yeah, whose video did I see? Someone posted on Twitter, and I could particularly see frame drops, like every 15 seconds or so. I could see some frame drops for like 2-3 seconds. That was really odd. Otherwise, the video looked really nice.
On the P30?
Yeah,
Pro?
yeah, P30
wow.
Pro.
That's still somewhat disappointing. So.
I know.
I mean, well, most of us use our phones for photos anyways. I don't think a missing frame or two, you're not. See, I struggle to figure out who this phone is for, because Huawei does have the mass appeal going for it, and this is one of their flagship series, and they want a lot of people, to buy it.
Yeah.
And
I found the tweet. It was by David.
You found the tweet, and I didn't catch. So I have to pull out the thing on Hangouts and show the messages, and that's great.
How
Thank
intuitive
you for this intuitive UI. The redirect notice. The previous page is sending you to blah blah blah. Hey, it's David Immel from Android Authority. I love you, man.
He's amazing.
Okay, there we go. That's the video. That's Sherlyn. That's someone else. I don't see anyone else. Oh no, that's not Sherlyn. That's Che. Isn't that Che?
Yeah,
I think so.
So you do see the frame drops, right? It's choppy, and then it.
Wow.
That's bad.
Oh, that's disappointing. That's disappointing. Oh, I wanted to like you so much.
I won my money back. Even though I haven't spent it, I want my money back.
I mean, that's 1,000 euro. I don't think. No, I just can't. If you're using this to capture memories, and I think a lot of people will use video at some points, especially at those family events, just to and maybe even sports. Like if you're taking your kids out to the big soccer game or whatever the heck, and you're trying to capture that. That's That's not recommend. That's not recommended.
You're like, why is my kid so choppy? Oh, that's why.
Yeah, and the rest of it, I think, is kind of a wash because it's the same sort of Huawei stuff that we've seen year to year. We can always talk about their efforts to screw around with the file system so that it can be faster. And, this year they're promising, 18 months of speed upkeep, wherein, if your phone slows down over time, what is that supposed to mean? What metrics are you using? What?
It's unicorn magic, don't you know? Pure unicorn magic.
I feel like that's a phone out there that we haven't discussed yet. Unicorn Magic. It's
Unicorn Magic Pro.
The Unicorn Magic Pro, but also back when Micromax had that thing going on.
Oh, damn! That was a nice throwback. Oh, damn!
Man.
Even they disappeared, man. Thanos snapped and they disappeared.
Nah. And this podcast will only get sadder and sadder as we go along.
Sad trombone.
Okay. Enough of that.
Yeah. So what do you think about the colors? Like, they're like always bringing out new colors and all. What do you think about the breathing crystal color?
I'm not gonna look at it. I'm just like it's there. It's just there.
You're the one.
That's it.
You're one of those who covers their phone, right? In cases and all, you don't look at your phone. Man,
no.
What a bummer. I don't use cases or screen protectors at all.
No, it's not my thing.
Because you're clumsy and you're like always very careful that you might drop your phone. Is that what it is?
I drop it anyways.
Might as well just protect it.
No. Nah.
Not happening.
I'm fine.
You're good.
Because the more I add onto the phone, the more likely it is that I'll drop it. And I've had some issues with the protective qualities of the phone, especially when I get on and off the bus a lot, and that's when the action-packed kind of events that
Parkour.
you can do to your phone,
mm-hmm.
because sometimes the doors open as it stops, and you get a little bit of deceleration, but still going at a pretty fast clip, and that's when the worst of it can happen. That's the most damage. That's the most triple windmill super flips that you can do, and
physics
how many
with
corners
Jules.
can it touch? Yeah, exactly. I don't know where that GIF of the woman with the blonde woman that's staring at numbers and math.
That's perfect.
I don't know where that comes from. I would like to know. I should probably go to Know Your Meme for that, but in any case, or even worse, I was biking once in the middle of the city, and I was in a shared bike bus lane, and it just so happened that my HTC One M8 Harman Kardon edition, which is a good chunk. It's much heavier than the original M8,
mm-hmm.
But it fell down to the freaking pavement. That was a lovely event. I wish it didn't happen.
Ouch.
It survived, and I think the screen made it. It's just, man, that was the most anxiety-ridden kind of few seconds that I had to deal with in a while.
Even my M8, was damaged a lot. A friend of mine, I just gave him the phone, hey, look, it's the new M8, and he just dropped it on the road, and it was dinged pretty badly. The screen was fine, only the metal body was dinged a lot.
Yeah, that also, attests to the resiliency of metal, and it's probably a good choice for building things such as phones. But unfortunately, when it comes to signal strength and reception, it's not really the best thing. So compromises, am I right?
Who wants metal
Gotta
when
go
you
with
have
glass.
shiny ass glass over here?
shiny ass glass.
Yes. Look at that sheen. Look at that shiny glass.
Man, glass. I hate glass. I wish it didn't exist.
But
It's just a standard statement. Like all this should be diamonds. This should be diamond paned. That should be a diamond lens in my camera over there.
that would be so affordable.
It would. Well, especially because considering the freaking diamond market is hyperinflated because it's artificially held that way by jewelers because they want to make money off of diamonds, when in fact, it's just carbon and you can replicate, diamonds pretty cheaply. But it's just one of those stupid capitalism business things that gets in the way of real progress. So,
Talking about progress, are you excited about cloud gaming?
are we talking about Stadia and or Apple Arcade?
Well, those two things are really different from each other, but still.
I have not caught up on Apple Arcade at all. I wasn't able to pay attention to Apple because that was my first day at the police. So
You're policing around, so you didn't get the time.
yeah, I was on the beat for something else. So that was not my territory, and I couldn't step into it. That was where the Apple gang was enforcing its boundaries. So yeah,
That event was so boring. It was. I think it was 11:30.
I'm glad I missed out on it.
You didn't miss out much. You just missed out their services. It was like insert a name here and then add a plus sign. Apple News Plus, Apple TV Plus, something like that.
Well, it's boring, but it's necessary in the eyes of the market because hardware is at its
Peak.
saturation, its peak, and whatever you do with it, it's just upgrades, and who knows how many of them will remain eligible, especially when it's just amazing how many friends I have that have not upgraded their phones in over 3 or even 4 years.
Same.
I think one of my friends has a Galaxy S4.
Oh damn, that's like 5 years,
Yeah.
I guess. Has to be 5 years.
And he just says it's still working out for him, even though he has to carry a power bank wherever he goes. He's willing to live with it because he just doesn't really find that much more that he could want out of a new phone. Damn. I know.
Oh god,
sucks.
that's painful. S4 came with around M8, right? I'm not sure.
Yeah. It came with the M8, or was it the S5?
Wait, M7 came alongside S4, and then M8 was alongside S5. The Band-Aid phone.
The Band-Aid phone, man. The phone only a mother could love. If it wasn't the first real mainstream phone with IP68 water protection, and dust, but water. I know.
Yeah. So talking about Apple Arcade, so it's like console exclusivity. Like you have PlayStation exclusives. So Apple Arcade is like a consortium of indie game developers which were only developing games for iOS. That's what Apple Arcade is, and you pay
That's it.
monthly for that service. That's it.
Well, who have they? I know Blizzard came on stage. I think, didn't they? I don't know, but yeah, they have enough clout. They have enough big stuff. They have like all the big franchises. I don't know what they would want to do if they would, because even with iOS, it can be pretty limiting quite often because a lot of the base is in the U.S. and then the rest of internationally, the only other places that have like any real contingencies are maybe Japan and less so China these days. So, like, it's going to be a real kind of grumble for them if they have to, in terms of what they have to serve for their markets.
Also, what I
the rest
think
of
is
it-
like the third-party developers, they have to share revenue with Apple, which is like 30% cut, if I recall correctly.
And that that's their motive, and it's disappointing, but it's expected.
Mm-hmm.
And
So that's why they're like, okay.
it's a very exclusive audience, and they have the highest ARPUs, so you can hey, there's that. And it's yours for the taking, but I don't know how you want to weigh that against because you can't really I think as much as Sony wants to perpetuate the console wars, it's just not a thing anymore, is it?
At least for PlayStation, it is, because the quality of games that you get at PlayStation, Xbox doesn't have it. They only have like Halo, Gears of War, nothing else.
Yeah,
And then
that's true.
let's not even count
But
Crackdown 3, which looks like a PS2 era game.
I think each console has different appeals to them. Again,
True.
Nintendo's has plenty of franchises, and I think the AAA's really shine their best on PS4. But then there's Xbox, which I know people consider it to be like a wasteland of 12-year-olds that play COD every day or whatever other battle royale
Fortnite
game of du jour that you can play in there. But it's very useful. It's a good entry point. I feel like it gets people into the arena, and it's just a workhorse, I think, for a lot of at least American families.
They're even going to drop the price point even further. So they're introducing an all digital edition of Xbox One S. No disk drives, nothing. All digital.
Hooray! That's great, I guess.
Because I download
less money to
I download games anyways. I don't use physical discs at all.
How much space are they gonna put on that
1 TB.
1S?
1 TB by default, I guess.
And how much will it cost? Like $100?
$199 if I recall.
Okay,
What's
that's pretty
the
good.
current price point of 1S? Let me just check.
I'm not paying attention. I don't have any of those consoles. The most recent one I bought was the Switch, which I left to my brother because he games more and I don't, because I'm a boring person. I'm a boring and sad person. But yeah. Xbox One X.
S.
Yes. One.
Oh, it's $299 right now. So yeah, the discless is rumored to come at $199 or so, which is
Well, that's a good haircut.
yeah,
Huh.
not bad.
Yeah, especially when we're trying to de-emphasize, the burdens of having to deal with it, entering this space with great hardware that costs thousands of dollars. So here's where we transition and talk about things like Stadia,
Yes,
cloud gaming.
perfect segue.
Yeah, I felt like that was needed
Yes.
in terms of just introducing the thing. And I know people already kind of get it, but I think we included a whole bunch of counterpoints in there, just little sprinkles, because it's still, we're still at the point where, it's, you have your ways of getting into the game, and you have ownership of all your hardware, I guess. But I feel like they've already locked down a whole bunch of software. A lot of DRM has been happening. So if you conform to that fact, then you shouldn't have to worry too much about that aspect of cloud streamed games.
Yeah, because people are concerned. They're like, oh, you don't own your games anymore. And that's the similar argument people made when Netflix came around. They were like, oh, you don't own your movies anymore. But hey, people are fine with it.
I think one of the Tony Hawk games, I think it was like Pro 3 or something like that for the X. Well, I think it was just that, like, they were having so much trouble developing for the game. It was like so rushed out because they had like a 15-year license or something. And it turned out that they hadn't used the license in all those 15 years until it was like, oh, hey, we have to rush out something. And basically it was just so rushed out, it was so horrible the game was, that they decided to launch the game with a disc, continue work on it, and then basically by the time the first disc got sold, um, you know, everyone had a 7.5 gigabyte update waiting for them. Like, that was the game. The update was the game, pretty much.
Oh god.
Because it was just so bad.
It has to be above 4 because I remember playing Tony Hawk's Skater 4 on PS2, and I'm pretty sure game updates weren't a thing on PS2.
Oh, okay. I have no idea, but I watched Larry Bundy Jr. and all those other little gaming kind of nostalgia sites for the trivia factor.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So, I mean, again, you don't own your games. They're the property of the game companies. And you've always really have bought the rights to play on them. Now, some of you who have been copying ZX Spectrum cassettes will take issue with that, and that's fine. I mean that's okay, but yeah, at this point it's all digital, and I don't think that part of the equation is relevant. And besides, game developers should be paid what they're worth, and they are worth a lot.
Yes, yes, indeed.
In terms of the medium itself, man, I don't know. Because theoretically, if you're talking about multiplayers, those like Google Stadia is going to rely on all of Google servers around the world to handle that in terms of streaming down the vision, and also coordinating multiplayer servers, which theoretically you could just host it on one big server or something like. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what they said. Like, instead of having like in current battle royale games, you have like 100 players at once, so 100 instances. They said they can expand it to like 1,000 players or even more, because everything will be centralized in one server close to each other. So that'll be like
basically
easier.
Every game will be a local area network game.
We're going back to the old eras. Local co-op games.
It's just going to be the fact that depending on your internet connection, you might be having a shittier time with your game than other people, and I think that's really important to think about. 4K HDR content with surround sound, and what was the one thing I'm missing out? 4K HDR,
Dolby
surround
Atmos.
sound. Dolby Atmos. That's right. Hashtag trademark.
Yes.
But yeah, that's their kind of benchmark that they want to push as like the top tier for those who can afford the internet connection and like are fortunate enough to be living in an area that has that connection, as well as proximity to the server, or whatever latency factors that can be reduced, basically.
If I recall correctly, they mentioned you need a 15 Mbps connection, but I doubt it will be smooth on 15 Mbps.
I feel like that would be a good 720p kind of thing.
Or maybe they coded for 1080p.
1080p? 1080p, I feel, because I think it's 8 megabits per second if you're talking about decently compressed kind of, good 1080p stream. And you would have a lot of headroom to, add whatever tags, whatever data that you would like to do so. It's, I feel like that's going to be okay, but even then, it's just, again, the latency. You're not just talking about the, pressing your controller, your Stadia controller, especially it doesn't have to be a Stadia controller. I think Xbox controller is acceptable.
Yeah, but then it connects to your client device, and then it connects to the host server, whereas the Stadia controller connects directly to the host server.
I'd be interested to see how that works, but that's like.
So considering the Stadia controller connects directly to the host server, that cuts down the latency. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. It is. It's just I don't remember who did the trial while they were at the Stadia event. But I did see something where it was like they actually tested it out, and it turned out the latency was something like 16 hundredths of a second, or about 10 frames out of 60 FPS. So 1 out of every 6 frames you're missing out on, perhaps, or it's just.
I think it was Digital Foundry.
Yeah.
They
Digital Foundry?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it sounds
think,
like it.
yeah. Their in-depth comparisons and all are really nice. I always follow them for graphical comparisons and all. Their deep dives are good.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about
I-
Google Stadia, are you aware of Shadow?
I'm not.
Okay, so they're another gaming as a service provider, similar to Google Stadia, and they've been doing it for like past 2 years, I guess.
And what do they like? What games do they? Is it all original?
No, so it's literally like you're getting a PC for the money, your own little virtual PC, and then
Mhm.
you can log into your Steam account and play whichever games you want. So you're not paying for the game, you're paying for the system.
You're paying for the system, and do they offer like different systems at different prices so that?
If I recall correctly, yes, you do get tiers, like maybe you can get 720p 30 FPS, 1080p 60 FPS, and I don't think they have 4K. But yeah, they have at least 2 tiers.
Well, I don't see that's really hard to do on a small scale like that because what you end up running is a boutique service,
Mm-hmm.
and you're taxing all unless you have other investments, unless you're not unless you're the size of Google, then it becomes really unaffordable really fast. So I'd be interested to see who's backing them, and I'm also wondering how if anyone has used Steam Link, just the local Wi-Fi thing, and whether or not that works out pretty well. Because
I did try it like a few
um,
months ago. It was fine-ish.
ish.
Yeah, it was fine. Like if I'm
Well,
playing,
like
yeah,
it didn't lag too much.
yeah, it didn't lag too much. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't bad.
See, I don't know how to feel in terms of how much lag am I willing to accept, and whether or not that's going to be a factor in terms of the critical discourse of games. Like, do we have to start talking about, how much of a load this would place on a server and the end results to the end users? Like, that's I don't know.
So-
That's going to be hard to quantify.
I was checking their Reddit, and the whole audience is pretty much divided into two groups. One of them being super pissed at Shadow, like, hey, I bought a Shadow subscription and it's not working. The PC is unresponsive and all. And then there are others who are maybe close to the servers and all, and they're happy, like, hey, this works perfectly fine.
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, having a virtual computer to do whatever you want with it, as opposed to like just enterprise base level tasks for the work that you need to do, like that's pretty cool, and more people should be able to take advantage of that. I feel like, but if you're doing it for the express purpose of gaming, of having access to high octane gaming, and it doesn't they aren't able to shell out for the best internet service on their end. And I'm talking about Shadow. If they aren't able to get the best internet service that they can, I feel like that's duping the consumer as part of the package, because you're offering everything to them. It's not just the hardware, but also like the means to get into the hardware. And if your marketing is all about, oh hey, games, then I feel like that needs to be a critical component, the internet connection.
And then they're pretty serious about it. Like, they even sponsored Linus to cover their whole facility and all. That was pretty
Yeah.
interesting. Like,
I might have seen a thumbnail or two about that.
Mm-hmm. Me being a cloud computing student, I'm done with
Wait,
college.
hold on. Sorry, I forget. Didn't he cover a place where they just used Mac Minis? I think I saw that video around the time of after they announced the Mac Mini upgrade.
He is using a Mac Mini to control his NAS, like his whole storage solution. I think for controlling those files, he's using Mac Mini, if I recall correctly.
But he went down to like a place in Vancouver or something. Not Vancouver, probably somewhere in the U.S.
Somewhere on planet Earth.
Yeah, where they used exclusively Mac Minis for those. Man, I've never run a server in my life. I really need to try that out sometime.
I'm all for cloud storage and all because that's great. So which one specifically do you use? Dropbox, Google Drive, or OneDrive?
Yeah, mostly Drive. I have a Google One account for 2 terabytes. Pay $10 a month.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's neat, and it's a little sad because after that you have to jump up to $100 a month and 10 terabytes, and there's no in between. There needs to be more in between, Google. You gotta give us some, $50, $25, $20, something like that.
How much have you filled up out of the 2 TBs?
Let's 350 gigs, or about 16%.
Hey, so you might have to just downgrade your plan. Like you're not even using the full potential, and you're paying more.
I like paying.
Let me just flex on you, little kids. I like paying.
Yeah, I like paying. I like doing. Yeah. I mean, you're probably right, but I don't necessarily want to have to think about just dropping a terabyte into my drive whenever the need happens to surface.
Oh, let me just transfer 1 TB of data from one device to another. Throw it on the Google Drive.
And store it and do it through the internet, which is still not really dependable enough to carry on a terabyte of data like that.
Yeah. You're like, hold up, I'm uploading the data, and now I'm downloading it.
But I mean, it's nice. I mean, it's just nice to have. I think it's just nice to think about, just in case.
So currently, I'm on the 100 GB plan, but hear me out. I'm only using it for my Google Photos and some documents which I want to access from each of my device. And for everything else, everything is stored locally on my hard disk, which if it crashes, I'm screwed. So I am looking forward to maybe upgrade it in future and then offload everything to the cloud. But for now, I'm keeping it exclusively for Google Photos and some documents.
Yeah. I mean, upload a few executables.
Yeah.
Just in case. I feel like that could be useful.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's all you need. You don't need a disk or anything. You just need the .exes or .trgs or whatever you happen to use.
Definitely not a virus. .exe.
It's just a dolphin.
Yeah.
.exe.
A friendly little dolphin. How's the experience been with the mirrorless camera? Because I've been contemplating to switch.
I just use it to shoot. It's that simple for me. I'm a very simple guy. I'm a very understated guy, and
I use a mirrorless because DSLR is for dweebs.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, I'm just, but no, I'm just. I mean, for me, it's about what the moments I can capture, and for me, that's more in the moment, as opposed to something that I can set up with meticulous fashion and just plan it out. I plan everything out, and all right, what do I have to use for my flash setup? What do I have to use for a different lens, or should I go full frame, or should I just sod it? And see, those are the types of things that I don't want to have to think about. I just want to go out there,
point and shoot,
take a few, point and shoot. Yeah. In which case, I mean,
you got this camera recently, right? If I recall correctly.
Yeah, I got it off of Marco Hanna for $800, new mint in box.
Nice. So, which camera were you using before that?
The A5100, which should still be here.
Oh,
Uh,
so you were literally using mirrorless cameras. That's nice.
yeah, that's the only thing I really have been using since 2011. I bought the Nikon 1J1.
Oh,
Uh,
J1 was
and
a different one.
the first gen,
Yeah, the first
the
gen.
first generation. Yeah, and the sensor size was something weird. It was like, I forget, man. It was like a eighth of an inch or something. No, a third or something. I forget.
But it was something of a unicorn back then.
Yeah, I kept it around for way too long. I only recently, in the past 2 years, upgraded to the A5100, which itself was like 3 or 4 years old by the time I bought it.
Okay.
And this is about 3 years old at this point. So, freaking cameras, man, they don't really, they just don't depreciate, apparently, on the market. You have to really just go out and do the eBay thing if you're looking for it.
So, are you using the kit lens, or did you buy any other lenses?
So I have one kit lens, which I don't use anymore, really. It's a 1650, and it has power zoom, so it's able to zoom electronically. But I've basically just taken another kit lens, but this is from the full frame.
Oh.
And considering this is a APS-C sensor crop sensor, so it basically you're just getting less of a picture than you would have with the full frame camera. But anyways, this is a full frame lens, so technically instead of 28 to 70, it's 42 to 105, and that's a pretty
nice
wide
zoom lens.
Yeah, that's a pretty wide area that you can work with. Unfortunately, being a kit lens, it's variable aperture, so 3.5 to 5.6, and you have to deal with that. I have been interested in getting a 1 prime lens.
Dude, that's the best investment I've ever done.
Yeah.
It's absolute. So I'm exclusively using prime lens for the past 2-3 years. I'm not using zoom lenses. I'm only using prime lens, and that's working out great. It's for the better, in my opinion. Like, you move more. Like, if you're shooting a subject, you move closer, and instead of you just being lazy and zooming into the subject, you move back and forth, and that's better. And you get shallow depth of field and more light into the sensor and all. It's good.
See, sometimes a lot of that is tough because my subjects are far away, and
You creep.
no, not that. Mountains and
Oh.
hills and tall buildings.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something where if you want to zoom with your feet, you have to take an elevator, and at that point, how would you get to the place where you just were? And like that would change the entire composition of the photo. So you dumb nut, just get the right lens or whatever. I don't know.
Here's where you get to flex your wallet. You get primes for different focal lengths. You get a wide prime, then a telephoto prime, and then more primes.
Then you would have to deal with me, clumsy fingers, butter fingers, nuts, hands, having to switch those out in inconvenient places. I'm not really in the mood for that. If ideally my setup would be one very reliable zoom lens and one
Prime lens.
one prime lens.
35 mm. I made the mistake of buying the 50 mm and considering mine is an APS-C sensor, so it crops to 75 mm, and oh boy, it zooms in a lot.
Yeah.
But the prime lens is nice. Pretty nice.
75 would be a pretty good
Portrait lens.
territory for portraits. Yeah. And in which case I would be going for a 70 or maybe even an 85. But yeah. I'm not, as much work I do with it up close, because you're shooting tables with phones on them and you don't really have that much space to work with, you're really in need of either a macro or a 14 or something like that, very pancakey kind of thing. Like that's really not my shooting interest. I really, if I ever have to, if I like force myself to buy a close-up prime lens, I think I would really resent myself because I would only have to use it for work, and although it would not be like too much to carry, well, maybe a macro lens, but if it wouldn't be too much to carry, I would still think like, man, I'm not using this lens enough, and I would force myself to go out and take pictures with it, and then I would realize that, oh man, I am certainly not fit for shooting with this lens.
I kind of want to try the constant aperture one by Sigma, but it's super expensive.
Yeah? How much is it?
I forgot. So in Indian price,
Like
it was
$1,200.
no. It was around like 80,000 rupees, if I recall correctly.
Oh yeah, that's
Let me just convert.
that's $1,500, I think.
Yeah. It's 1,200, approximately 12.
1,200? Okay.
Jeez.
So I was right. It was 1,200. 1,200.
Oh, Asians are good at math. The obligatory statement.
Oh, hey, look at that model minority freaking stereotype that we want to perpetuate. Hey, Indians are really good at fixing computers, you know that? And they also scam you at computers.
Yeah.
And Asians love cooking food. Okay, I'll stop.
If something is wrong on your laptop, did you try rebooting it? It usually works.
Have you turned it off and then
Did you press
Turned
that
it
glowing button over
on again? Have you turned off your router and then turned it on again?
there? Did you blow some air into the cartridge? That would work.
You must buy a cleaning set. You must do it. Oh man, I used to watch. I saw some training videos from the late '90s, wherein places like it wasn't GameStop. It was FuncoLand, and like they were really selling the freaking cleaning kits hard for the cartridges. $25. You should probably clean it even every single time you use your console, even though it does nothing and you're probably wearing out the contacts at the same time. It's great. That was a good
Did they name the product
thing to do.
placebo effect? That would have been the perfect name.
the placebo effect. Oh man, that it just what's this liquid full of? What's this liquid called placebo? I don't understand. I think that's another thing, but we'll save that for After Dark.
Yeah.
Oh wait, it is After Dark for you,
Yeah.
but not for me.
The after dark.
Yeah,
With
my After Dark would be full of Fernet.
I see.
That's the only form of alcohol that I will really tolerate.
Interesting.
Yeah,
So you're not
It's
into
got-
like other forms of alcohol?
I mean I'll drink just to keep up, and I'm not really the type that gets drunk in a pleasant way. I'm more of a downer when I'm after I've had a few too many. So I know it's weird. But I'm not the best drinking partner if it comes down to that.
I think I've seen you and Hayato getting like sloshed, and you're like posting pictures of each other, and like, wow.
Here's the thing. That's when I'm caffeinated, not drunk. So it's the caffeine high.
You two were
and,
definitely in a bar, if I recall correctly, and it was after dark.
Oh yeah, no. Well, the thing is that I could tell you more about it, but we'd have to take this off air.
Yeah.
And the karaoke bar in Times Square is a story in of itself that has to be opened.
I did hear whispers about that story, but yeah, that was
Fun times.
fun times indeed.
Hmm.
We have been rambling for about an hour now. Wow, Time flies by
Yeah.
quickly.
Hour 10.
Hour
Yeah,
10.
it's
It's the auspicious time out there. Okay, so
the 70-minute mark.
yeah. So let's wrap it up. Where can we find you on the interwebs, Jules?
Hell. You can find me at Point Jules on Twitter, as I've said, androidpolice.com. I should be writing some more soon.
Do you accept
Yeah.
Do you accept carrier pigeons or maybe MySpace?
MySpace, if it's any content before 2016 May, then I'll accept it. And if you don't know what that is in reference to, you should probably Google the news.
Yes, that was pretty unfortunate what happened there.
Very sad, very sad. And otherwise, I think the only form of contact I accept is NFC.
Great. That is great.
Just forward me your business card details. NFC automatically goes into my phone. That's it.
Obligatory. Save the planet.
Yeah. Who needs to waste all that paper on
Yeah.
little cute logos?
Yeah, when you can just fidget with your phones and just trying to make out where the NFC coil is and then find out like, hey,
Yeah.
NFC wasn't turned on the other device. See?
Oh yeah,
How
so you have to
convenient.
go. Oh wait, it's not in your quick toggle, so that you have to go into the settings and turn it on manually, and it's great.
Yeah, especially if it's an iOS device and like, oops, this is not happening
And-
today.
An iOS device.
iOS. Who calls it iOS? iOS.
I-O. E-I-E-I-O-S.
On that point, let's call it adios. Jeez.
Adios. Oh, hey, dang. That's
Dang,
a good one.
That was smooth.
Hey. Old MacDonald had a farm.
Oh no, it's the end of the episode. But hey, no worries. I'll be back next week. But hey, if you liked this episode, let me know. Like, share, subscribe, do your thing. And if you have any comments, questions, or constructive criticism, hit me up on Twitter. It's at Shimon IPS. That is SHIMONIPS. And hey, let's have a discussion. Let's have a chat about everything under the sun. Alright, folks, I'll catch you next week with another episode of yet another tech podcast. See ya.